So let's actually do a bit of like volume and chart analysis of what's actually happening with Bitcoin right now as we reach the all-time high. And will the FOMO actually kick in when the all-time high is actually reached? Because right now, unlike the previous times, we're not rapidly approaching and surpassing the all-time high. We're like crawling towards it. If you look at the Bitcoin price right now, I mean, within the day and within the last few days, we're really only gaining about 1,000 points essentially per day. And that's very, very much unlike the last couple of times that's very, very unlike the last couple of times when Bitcoin was about to approach its all time high. If you just bring this up here, you look at the 7 day graph. Yes, we're going up eventually, but as you can see, like this is just 100K down here, 102K. Like it's going very, very slowly up and down, and we're essentially gaining on average about 1,000 points or slightly less than 1,000 points per day. That is very, very unlike, the last time when we actually massively went up back in basically October, November. We gained multiple thousands of points. Like, look at that right there. And of course, like the last time we gained since the tariff stuff, and we gained massive walls right there. We're not doing the same right now. We're inching our way up. And if you are looking at, even earlier on, you look at 2020, like once we started like jumping, the ATH of 20K back in 2020 was like no problem. It pumped right past. Whereas like same thing in 2023, when we actually started pumping past, it was like no problem getting past 60, 69, $70,000 and going up to 73. Like we breezed past 69 to 73 very easily. And once again, like in October, we breezed past that really easily. Right now, like day by day, we are grinding our way up. And if you actually look at the trading volume, the volume is actually very low. Unlike when we actually started grinding up before, like the volume, you can obviously see in November right here, 2024 was pretty high. Obviously, it became a little bit lower in December after the election wore out, but then it still got a little bit higher. And then obviously, with the tariffs and everything, it got high here. And then as Bitcoin fell, it fell here. But then when the tariffs started to to be rolled back, we went high here again. But the last week or two, as you can see around this area, has not actually been so high in volume right now. And that's because there's just not that much action on Bitcoin. And not a lot of action essentially says like retail is not the one that's trading. It is indeed institutions, and it's probably just Michael Saylor. So the thing is, like, as we've mentioned before in a previous video, retail is actually selling, institutions are buying, and Saylor is basically tipping the balance in favor of the buyers right now. And like I said, I'm not too afraid that's going to change because Saylor is essentially going to keep buying for the foreseeable future. I could see a speed up of sales as we get past the all-time high for people actually taking profits. And the reason that altcoins really aren't doing all that well is because obviously institutions aren't buying the altcoins. So what does this actually mean? We know there's a bunch of shorts fixated at about 107,000 to 108,000. So I'm hoping for a liquidation to bring us past 110. But even if we get past 110, unless retail decides to just FOMO in, and I guess they may, because after we reach the all-time high, maybe mainstream media will start mentioning Bitcoin, and that gets more people in. Hopefully, they'll start buying more ETFs and stuff like that. We already have positive ETF inflows at that right now. Maybe they'll get more positive ETF inflows, and that'll bring us up to the next step. But what's very likely to happen is there's going to be somewhat of a sell-off at 110 as people start wanting to take some profits. Saylor, at least temporarily, may not be able to hold the line. Him and a couple of other organizations may not be able to hold the line. And we have a pullback around the 110 area, maybe back to like 102 or something. And then, I don't think we'll pull back too far because just because we have a small pullback does not mean Sailor and the others are going to stop buying. Remember, Sailor's DCA is basically at $69,000, $70,000. So he's still in the profit and he's got several years to work with. And he's also got billions of dollars to work with. So he's going to keep buying Bitcoin. If we have a pullback, at least on Bitcoin, I think that is the best time to buy. Now, I won't say it's a really great time to buy for altcoins because Solana has like one of the companies that like wants to be like the sailor for Solana. I'm not really sure how that's actually going to work. I don't really trust it at this point. But maybe they have an investor. I don't really think the other coins have investors. If you haven't actually heard, the ETFs for Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, the SEC has actually kicked the can down the road to say, which means they're not going to approve in May. The earliest the SEC can approve those ETFs is going to be July, but most analysts think it's going to be Q4. And that's just like me. I've been saying it's probably going to be October at the beginning of Q4 for a while because they can't push it back anymore. And ultimately, they will actually have to bow and accept those. And even when they do, I'm not exactly sure what kind of volume it will actually generate. So right now, like if you ask me in October, I would be much more confident in altcoins. If you ask me right now, I am definitely not very confident in altcoins. The volume for Bitcoin is still fairly low, which means I don't think FOMO is actually there. Walmart recently said they're going to raise their prices, and several other retailers have as well. And even though Donald Trump said they should eat the tariffs, that's not realistic for Walmart because if you know in the retail market, the margins are actually very, very small. So there is zero way they're actually going to, either the suppliers or the retailers are going to eat like a 30% tariff or even a 10% tariff because the margins in the retail sector are essentially like single digits. Trump is right that Walmart does make billions of dollars a year, but that's not because they make a lot of money selling per item. That's because they sell a crap ton of items. Like Walmart sells trillions of dollars worth of items each year. And of those trillions of dollars, they make billions of dollars worth of profit. And the profit margin is single digit. So they obviously can't eat like a 30% or 10% tariff. Like places like Home Depot, maybe they don't depend as much on imports, so they can actually like eat the tariffs for a while, but it's still not a long-term solution. But a lot of other retailers are going to be like Walmart, and why I'm mentioning this is because you will actually see that affect the CPI probably starting in July's report. I think there'll be a little bit of effect in June's report. If you haven't watched Walmart CEO's like interview, go watch that. He's basically saying like the first round of increases will actually happen in the bottom half of May, which is right now. So if you're seeing prices at Walmart go up, that's why. But the real hit will actually be in June. So it won't actually be in next month's CPI. It'll be in the month afterwards. But if you actually see prices, the CPI next month go up a bit, it is because of the starting of that as well. And I think consumers are waiting for kind of like the shock of that to see like how much that actually is before they do anything else. So that's actually stirring up a lot of uncertainty in the market, and that could actually dump the markets a lot over the summer. So that's why I'm looking towards the fall where hopefully things actually settle down. And remember, the 90-day trade pause for all countries besides China basically ends on July 8th. And if he doesn't extend it, we're about halfway through because we're like May 20th right now. So we're about 41 days into the 90 days. So he has to sign something in the next 50 days for all those countries. And I don't think it's going to be that easy for like the EU or the other major trading partners. So we could slump back deep into that trade war at that time. So I think all those compounding factors, as I've mentioned in videos before, are basically breaking consumer sentiment. And trust me, if those prices at Walmart start going up, people are going to notice because a lot of people shop at Wally's. I mean, I don't really go to Wally's that much anymore. I basically shop at the neighborhood. I basically shop at like the neighborhood grocery store because it's closer to me. And yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than Walmart, but it's more of a convenience thing for me. I will go to like, Target and stuff for like large amounts of groceries. But if those prices go up, people are going to start to notice, and they're going to be starting to get like more and more nervous about the economy, which does not bode well for risk on assets. If that affects the CPI and the CPI goes up, we might not even get a rate cut in July. It might be delayed until August or later. And that will really screw the markets as well, because then we're not meeting the expectations for rate cuts. We're like underperforming. We're like basically going under the expectations for rate cuts. If we only get one this year or don't get one this year at all, then essentially like I think the markets will react not so well, and the crypto markets are not going to act so well as people shrink more and more back into bonds. The yield on bonds is already getting higher, which is not great for crypto because the US credit did get downgraded and it's close to 5% right now. So there's a lot of conflicting factors that could actually impede like a serious bull run. But my predictions are that we probably will break the all-time high sometime this week because we're so close. We could actually liquidate the shorts up a little bit past it, but then there's a decent chance we actually have a retrace. Once we get into like around 110,000 or more, we might pull back to like 102. But at that time, if we do, that's a good time to pick up some Bitcoin, in my opinion. I don't think the entire market's going to come crashing down. At least I hope not. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think because the micro sailors buying, we will actually bounce back up, even if we have like a $10,000 pullback. By the way, a $10,000 pullback is only 10% now. It's not like 50, 60%. So keep that in mind. A $10,000 pullback, if we pull back from 110 to like 102 or something, that's like 8-10%. It's really not that big of a deal. So I think like I'm fairly bullish for Bitcoin over the next week or two. I don't know if I'm bullish for altcoins, but I think I'm not really going to be super bullish for altcoins until about October. And hopefully by that time, everything actually calms down. But I just wanted to like give my little blurb about like the state of the economy, what people are looking at, what people are actually being afraid of, how the prices of goods might actually affect the economy, and like what I'm kind of actually just seeing on the macro level event of things and the news that's actually coming forth from CNBC and a lot of other sources, basically signaling where the economy is going and how that's going to affect crypto markets. So hopefully, like I said, all the stuff, all the trade deals are signed by October. Whether they're good or not doesn't really matter for the crypto market. If we have the same trade deals as we did before, that's perfectly fine for the crypto market. As long as that stuff gets signed, people gain more confidence, and we're not going to see like inflations from like large amounts of tariffs. And once people actually get settled down, then, and Jerome Powell starts cutting rates because the inflation's like at 2% or something, then we're going to be on a roll with crypto. But that might take some time. So that's why I'm giving it another several months. And I'm going to say like October for the altcoins. But like I said, I am bullish for Bitcoin over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's my outlook. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.